So in this video, I'm gonna help you decide if you should live in Hell's Kitchen in Manhattan. I used to live in Hell's Kitchen years ago, and it is a very fun neighborhood. Now, I do have to say, there's pros and cons, just like there is with any neighborhood in basically not only New York City, really anywhere in the world. So I'm gonna break down some of the things you may love about the neighborhood and some of the things that you might not like as much. So Hell's Kitchen is close to the theater district in Manhattan, which is a great thing. If you love the theater, you can just walk so quickly to any of the theaters from your apartment. So that is really nice. But at the same time, because of this, there's gonna be a lot of tourist traffic that kind of overflows into this neighborhood from the theater district. So I would have to say, living in Hell's Kitchen, that it's not so overwhelming, the amount of tourists in this neighborhood. I guess it depends on the time of day or time of year. Being so close to the theater district, I would say that you would probably think that even more tourists are in this neighborhood. But when you walk through the streets of Hell's Kitchen, you do notice like that there are tourists there sometimes, but it's not so overwhelming to the point where like you think you live in Times Square. Like it's not like that at all. So I guess here it would also really range depending on where you lived in Hell's Kitchen. So Hell's Kitchen is also known for this one area of the neighborhood that's known as like Restaurant Row. There's a lot of really great dining spots in Hell's Kitchen that I think, honestly, I feel like are kind of underrated. I feel like a lot of people don't come into Hell's Kitchen from other neighborhoods, but there are some really good dining spots here. I used to love that about living in Hell's Kitchen. I never felt like there wasn't good food in the neighborhood. With good dining also comes a lot of noise, I would say. So if you're on 8th Avenue or 9th Avenue at Hell's Kitchen, I do have to say it can definitely be a little bit loud. However, if you're on 10th, 11th, or even on 12th, then it's not going to be loud really at all compared to 8th or 9th. It's a world of a difference. I did technically live in Hell's Kitchen on a map, technically, but I lived on 42nd Street. Yes, 42nd Street and 12th Avenue. So all the way out west, all the way right on the waterfront, was not by any means in the heart of Hell's Kitchen. And some people in this video or in the comments might even be like, that's not even Hell's Kitchen. Like that's hardly Hell's Kitchen. Like that does not count. I kind of agree with you there. It doesn't really count. Now, granted, I did spend a lot of time walking into the heart of Hell's Kitchen and dining there, drinking there. Like I did, that was like my spot, but I didn't really live in the heart of Hell's Kitchen by any means. So I just want to make that very clear in this video. But as I was saying, if you live on 8th and 9th Avenue, it's going to be loud. There's going to be a lot of noise. There's going to be a lot of people in the streets. Now, if you live on 10th, 11th, 12th, world of a difference in my opinion at least. So I would say that this neighborhood definitely does not have the best subway transportation compared to some other neighborhoods. Now, if you do live all the way west on 10th, 11th, 12th, you're going to have to walk in to get a subway because subways just don't service that area of Manhattan. So you're going to want to walk over to 8th Avenue where you're going to be able to get on one of the main subway lines. Now, I say that subways aren't the best in this neighborhood, but depending on where you live, you can easily walk to a subway line or walk to another neighborhood where you're trying to get a particular train. So depending on where you live, it could be okay. Now, again, in my example, I lived all the way west, so it was absolutely terrible. I had to walk all the way into 8th Avenue to get a subway, or what I did a lot of the times was actually take the bus across town to get to a subway line. So yes, I actually took a bus to the subway, so that was a little chaotic. I do have to say that depending on where you are in the neighborhood, it's not the best, but really depends on which exact street you're talking about. So some people love living in the quieter areas of Hell's Kitchen because they like being near the action, but at the same time like to get their peace and quiet when they're trying to go home. And other people like living directly in the action. So I would say that there's a good mix of both of those options in this neighborhood. Now, also real estate wise, you're going to be looking at a lot of different options. There are some high-rise buildings where you can get an apartment, and there are also walk-up apartments. There are townhomes in this neighborhood. There's so many different types of homes in this neighborhood. So I do think that pretty much everyone can find something that they're looking for, to be honest. So I hope that helped you figure out if you should live in Hell's Kitchen or not. So I would love to know in the comments, would you guys ever even live in Hell's Kitchen? Or I would love to know your experiences living in Hell's Kitchen if you've lived there before. So as always, I love hearing from you guys.